G'day, folks. AoS Coach here, and from the fog choke mists of the Shyish Mountains, we do have a new Battletome to talk. Actually, there's two, but you're here to talk about spooky ghosts. We're here to talk about the new Nighthaunt Battletome, 4th edition, all of the changes, plenty to going on here. So strap in, folks. We're going to talk about new units. We're going to talk about the Battletome, what's changed, what's new, how we're thinking about it. And I am joined by the Chillbringer herself, Madigan Mason, who not only is the Mortarch of Rules, she's also done incredibly well. People might know you as a OBR fan, but you recently went forth at Ironweld. I know you played Nighthaunt at a lot of events. So I'm really excited to talk to you about the book and what's changed and how to think about things and what we're going to do. We've lost a few units. I'll drum up some excitement in a second, or maybe some sadness, depending on how you feel about this. But before we get into it, Games Workshop obviously did send this to me in advance. Thank you, Games Workshop. They don't get to see the content. But if you want to support the channel, please check out the links below. Element Games in the UK, Warp Fire Minis in USA, or Gap Games in Australia. Links down below, or help out on Patreon. Much appreciated. Madigan, g'day. Welcome back. Friend of the channel. How are you finding Nighthaunt? What do we like? And what's your favorite thing so far?
I'm really excited for this book. A lot of the earlier tomes were not a huge shakeup. A lot of just little tweaks on the faction pack, but I was totally surprised to open this Battletome because the entire play style has changed. For editions now, Nighthaunt has been a very charge-focused army. And basically all of that, it's gone. There's not really any charge-focused rules beyond the typical, cavalry will get bonus for charging. But it's very, very castle-y. We keep a lot of the auras that we've had traditionally. And our defensive stats have changed. Ethereal, instead of being a blanket 4-up, it's now 5s and 6s, 5s for, heroes and stuff, 6s for your basic troops, but we can all defense, so we can get that back to the 4, back to the 5. And then we have a base 5-up board on everything, and also a bunch of our infantry went to 2 wounds, so we feel super tanky, super grindy. A lot of the War Scrolls really play into that too. So it's a massive shakeup from what we've ever had, really. So I'm really excited about that. It's an entirely new playstyle.
Yeah, and you've seen that, right? We had our first couple of Battletomes where nothing really changed, or in the case of Oryx, we went backwards before the faction pack got updated. We've slowly started to see things get changed. Kharadron Overlords, Khorne, even gets to a degree, but Nighthaunt definitely feels like the biggest change. Change isn't bad. It is just that we've probably seen a bunch of things, and it's a great time to reconsider your force, the way you play. You probably can take your list currently and put it into this book, but you're probably going to set up for failure. So look at this with fresh eyes. We're setting the scene here. It's not bad. Actually, I really like it. Madigan and I actually played a game the other night. Quite good. Quite good. I think, fair to say, Maddie, I didn't kill a unit. Like, I grinded you down to like one idiot here, a couple of wounds left, but you just kept coming back, and
the durability is brutal.
So good. So good. So good. It was so annoying, my poor sons. But when I say change, it's not bad change. It's just change. And I'm going to get this in before Maddie. My favorite unit is the Scriptor Mortis. I would have never thought I would say that. I remember talking about this in 2nd edition when it came out with the FOMO box, like the dual box, and everyone ripped me in the comments. I'm like, the Scriptor Mortis is rubbish. And to be fair, it was. It was like that once per game, if you were lucky. A couple of years have gone by. It hasn't really done a lot. I think it's an MVP. I'm going to put it on the table now. One of my favorite units in this book.
I'm really excited about it. I painted one up a bit ago for doubles. I had played in 2 doubles events, and I was running it there because it was the cheapest hero, and I needed one that cheap so that I could fit all my stuff. But I'm really excited to run it now. So,
and there's a cute little combo that maybe you don't want to take. It's fun. It's with the Decapitator, like the fun little combination there. It's fun. Like Maddie's rolling her eyes. I said it's fun. I said it's not competitive and crazy good, but it's fun. You got to admit, Maddie, it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I've shared what I like. It's fun. I'm just going to get straight into the rules and rip the Band-Aid off because you're probably like, what has happened to my faction? First things first, and Hex Raids, huh? Hex Raids, let's go. Are we going to see some changes? What has happened, Maddie? Drum roll, please. No. So, despite Blackguard getting a new kick being a Barrow Guard, many of us thought Hex Raids were either going to be squatted or going to be tweaked. Hex Raids still alive. They are well and kicking. But what you will see is that the Tomb Banshee, the Khan Wraith, and the Glaive Wraith Stalkers are moving to Legends as of the 1st of June 2026. So you're going to have another just under 12 months to play with these particular units. They will be moving to Legends. And look, the poor old Tomb Banshee hasn't even gotten a circle base here at this particular point. Like, older models, 2 of them, the Tomb Banshees and the Khan Wraith, coming from Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I won't lie, I'm a little sad. I did like the Tomb Banshee. I feel like she had a place. Unfortunately, no longer. Maddie, any initial thoughts here on the RIP list?
I won't miss the foot heroes. I think that they were way too small in proportion with the rest of the army. And also, if you compared like a Tomb Banshee to the Thorns of the Briar Queen, which are a way better Tomb Banshee for 10 points less, it's like, what are they even doing? I'm a little sadder to see the Stalkers go. I feel like they're a really cool unit and they could have had potential, but Games Workshop has never once given them even semi-functional rules, so I guess if something had to go to make space, people weren't really playing them anyway. But I do wish that they could have spun them into something neat enough to match their models, because I do like them.
Yeah, obviously, like, losing any model sucks, like, regardless, you know.
I don't know. Some of the more scrungly ones I definitely won't miss.
All right, well, I've got nostalgia. I like the Tomb Banshee. The Khan Wraith, I have less faith. But you've got so many heroes here. Look, you've got so many small heroes.
They're tiny too. Like, they just blend in. I would have taken like a resculpt, you know, bump them up to like a 40 mil base. Like, I think the Thorns are a good concept of like what a modern Tomb Banshee could look like. But the current models are just so small.
Yeah, I'm going to take a wild guess, and that Vampire Counts are going to get a old world box in some time in the near future. So maybe they're kind of building up that particular force. Anyway, that doesn't help you, Nighthaunt. These things are going. Let's move along. And look, it sucks. I'm sorry. You get 12 months at least to play this out. So if these are your favorite models, give them a final tour on the competitive scene. Obviously, go run them. A lot has changed, Maddie. A lot has changed, and you have already alluded to some of it. And that is that in fact, a lot of things are being rewritten. And we're going to break them out one by one. Starting off with your battle traits, you will notice there's a couple of things missing here, Maddie. What is missing here on the screen that we have loved or hated, depending on if you're on the positive or if you're on the opposition side of Nighthaunt?
I mean, it's all the charge abilities. Wave of Terror, gone. The charge in combat, gone. None of the battle traits are charge focused at all. And then the other really big thing here, Ethereal is now only ignore negative modifiers.
So let's talk about this. So you've lost Petrify, you've lost Shriek, you've lost Stun, you've lost Wave of Terror. You've also lost Discorporate. you've had a tweak where a battle formation, being the ethereal translocation, has moved from a battle formation into a battle trait. Let's break this down by one. Ethereal. So ignore negative modifiers to save rolls for friendly Nighthaunt units, excluding Nagash. Before we get into this, I do want to bring something forward that Maddie said that you may have or may not have heard, and that is that base 4-up armor save has been changed on all the war scrolls. So your heroes on average will be sitting on a 5-up. Your troops will mostly be sitting on 5s or 6s, but the ward save has moved from a 6+ to a 5-up. Now, there is some tweaks here and there. There's a few war scrolls that might break what I just said, but fundamentally, you're looking at a base save of 5 or 6s and a ward of 5s. Also, a bunch of your troops, like your Grimrak Reether. Yeah, that was what I'm trying to say. There's so many grim things here. A couple of your troops, and we will go through them, have upgraded to 2 health. So not like your chain rasps, but a lot of your bigger 32 mil base troops are sitting on 2 health now. So we'll talk about those changes when we get to that point. But anyway, back to ethereal. Any comments on the ethereal piece?
At first, I think looking at all the save characteristics, it feels like a pretty big hit. I think a lot of Nighthaunt players have gotten used to that safety net of the 4-up. But I really do think the other defensive buffs more than make up for it. We're still super tanky, but I think it feels a little more thematic too. And it's sort of nice to be able to use mechanics like all-out defense where we're not pigeonholed into our own system. So more generic buffs can work on us. Obviously in matched play right now, that's just all-out defense, but some of the like Path to Glory stuff works on us now too, which is neat.
We've still obviously got our terrain feature. Nothing changed, if I remember correctly. That's as written. I don't think I noticed. Yeah, I didn't notice any changes on their terrain.
It's just the setup rule for the extra 2.
You've got this ethereal translocation. So once per turn army, your movement phase for 1 command point, pick a friendly Nighthaunt unit that's not in combat to use this ability, remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units.
I mean, it's a pretty good ability. I was taking the battle formation for this before, so I'm happy to have it as a battle trait now to free up my formation for something else. It does cost a command point now, which makes it a little more of a decision on if you're going to use it, when you're going to use it. As a sub-faction, it was very free. There was no reason not to teleport, even if it was just to sort of minorly adjust where your chain casts were or something. But there is a real cost to it now. I think it's a good ability.
And obviously,
especially in this season, when we have a lot of maps that are very wide, a lot of the battle tactics, like Scouting Force especially, benefits from it a lot. So,
yeah, it's obviously a good rule. And for those who are using Discorporate, I'm gonna get it right eventually one day. You were probably spending that command point anyway. I guess the benefit now is no longer sitting in a battle formation, so now anyone can use it regardless of how you want to use it, and now that's unlocked a new alternative battle formation for you. But nice ability to have, no issue there. And the good news is you've got the 5-up ward regardless, so everyone gets the 5-up ward. The other battle trait that you've gained is Mounting Dread. It's a passive ability where you subtract the current battle round number from the control scores of enemy units while they're in combat with any friendly Nighthaunt units. So turn 1, you subtract 1, turn 3, you subtract 3, turn 5, you subtract turn 5.
This is more icing, more of like a flavor ribbon ability. It is relevant, and I have had it come up. but it's generally more relevant if you're trying to like take a side objective with a unit of Dreadblade heroes or something. It's not generally going to make a difference in the middle of your castle. I would say that this is less impactful than most of your other abilities here. It's the War Scrolls that are really shining here, I think.
Yeah, there's some really good War Scroll upgrades as well, so we'll get to that at that particular time. So overall, this is your new set of rules, and you can start to see as well that again, we don't have those charge type abilities, so hold that right now. The next thing we have is our battle formations. So you can see here we've got the Death Stalkers, which is still the same name, but even the rule has changed. And you've got a fair few different ones actually now being, you've got the Quicksilver Geist, you've got the Shrieker Host, and you've got the Royal Procession. I'm not going to read this out like it's story time. What were your initial thoughts and what ones really stand out from you from the first read?
So the weirdest thing to me is that Quicksilver Geist is just sort of better Deathstalkers. So that's a good standout. I think if you wanted to take that Deathstalkers, you probably want Quicksilver Geist instead. I think Shrieker Host is interesting, but I think the fact that it's hero locked makes it a little bit difficult to use. Most of our heroes aren't the tankiest. 5 to 7 wounds. You can get them, 4-up save and 4-up ward if you have Spirit Hosts and all out defense. But even so, it's a little hard to keep them locked down. I could definitely still see some use with it. Maybe if you wanted like a Lord Executioner or something for the -1 attacks. So it's neat, but I don't think it's going to be like a competitive option. And then Royal Procession, I think is good. Extra Rend is welcome. I would say the damage of the army has gone down a good bit because we are missing out on a lot of the buffs we got from charging, whether that be the -1 to save from our stun, or like Harridans or Blade Guys Revenants having offensive bonuses. So I think that this could be an option to get a little bit of that punch back. But I think Quicksilver Geist is probably my favorite out of these.
Yeah, Quicksilver or Royal Procession for me, and seeing again the Cruciator and, playing more of that mobile castle, obviously there's a lot of different play styles you can play with this, whether you're tapping into the Black Coach, whether you're playing with your cavalry type units, whether there's so many great choices in this particular book. There's actually a crazy Army of Renown we'll talk about obviously down the track. I can't wait for Maddie to talk about that. It's absolutely cracked. Oh, by the way, there's also, you've got the Black Coach is a regiment of renown too. So if you're a Death fan here listening to this and you've always wanted to put a Black Coach in your OBR Flesh Eater Courts or Soulblight, most likely Soulblight, there is a regiment of renown for the Black Coach, which is very cool. But for me, Royal Procession or Quicksilver Geist, I think they definitely play towards more of your play style, the types of units and how you want to play the game. Obviously, there's 4 interesting abilities. The Shrieker Host definitely for me, given that it's locked to the enemy hero phase. I don't see a great deal of benefit. Obviously, a little event, maybe at your local store, but otherwise, yeah, for me, yeah, those 2.
Yeah.
All right, Mason. Cool. Just making sure you had no final comments. I think the key here is that a lot of the great stuff is in the War Scroll. So it's like, okay, so far, like I'm looking and going, cool, there's a couple of battle traits, cool, couple of formations. But it's a real secret sauce when it gets to the units. I think that's going to be the real strength here. You've got a couple of new heroic traits given the ruler of the spectral host, the deathly processor and possessor. Possessor, and the Shadowy Aura. Again, many new stuff here, like when I compare old to new. Shadowy Aura is a reaction on a declared redeploy. You've got this Deathly Possessor, where pick an enemy hero in combat and then roll a dice on a 3-up. You get to pick one of the target's melees and then resolve the combat attacks for a target. And then you got a bunch of things, which probably is going to be the more popular, which is the Ruler of the Spectral Host given on a 2-up. That we found a really interesting, odd mechanic as well. And I'm sorry, by the way, on the 2-up, you pick 3 friendly non-hero Nighthaunt, and you heal or return models. So this kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about bringing back troops. Maddie, initial thoughts on the hero traits?
Yeah, I think once again, just like last book, Ruler of the Spectral Hosts is going to be the one you see in basically every list. It's effectively another heal in your army, which already has so much recursion with the Nexus, and it's just nice redundancy. The other two they're not bad. I think Deathly Possessor is really cute, but it's a little hard to pull off. And Shadowy Aura, I mean, -1 to hit is good. But you do need to be spending your commands on redeploy, and we are relatively command point hungry. So you don't necessarily want to be doing that. I will say the clunky thing about Ruler of the Spectral Hosts, and this also extends to our other recursion too, is now that a lot of the troops have moved to 2 wounds, D3 is very awkward, especially because it's not like Rally where you can mix and match healing and returning. So if you have 1 damage point marked on a 2-wound model, you're only going to be healing that. Or even if you roll a 3, you can either only heal that or only bring 1 back. It just feels a little odd. But I also think that that's even more of a reason where you kind of want to double up between Ruler and the Nexus, because then you can actually start getting more models back.
So you have lost the Terrifying Entity, you have lost the Cloak in Shadows, and also, despite it being called Ruler of the Spectral Host, the rule is completely different. So you've lost the ability to spend a command point to replace a unit with a replacement unit at half the models, to now that is one more healing focused. Given that it's non-hero, I know in the game that Maddie and I were playing, it was really beneficial against the Black Coach, given that you could just keep healing. You don't have to worry about that health limit. But it is worth thinking about when you are picking your 3 friendly non-hero Nighthaunt units, who are they going to be? How are you going to heal? And if someone's already got a damage point, is there a better target to heal? Because otherwise you're just healing 1. Something to keep in mind. Or you're spending a rally, but then a CP for... Anyway, you kind of know where I'm going with this. All good. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Ruler of the Spectral Host probably is definitely the clear winner. Deathly is fine. Shadowy is fine. They're not bad, but I think Ruler just definitely stands out as like the number 1 pick.
Yeah. I think if Ruler costs points again, it might see a little less pick, but if not, I think that's what's taken.
Let me have a quick look. It does cost 20 points. So, by the way, I can't show this on screen, folks. You just have to trust me, bro. It is going to cost points, and it could change, by the way. And just for the record as well, while we're talking about it, the Quicksilver Geist will also cost points. It's currently listed as 40 points. So keep that in mind. But it could change by the time this video comes out or the Battletome hits the shelves. Artifacts. So we've got a couple of new artifacts again. We've got the Mirror of Echoing Failures. We've got the Light Shard of the Harvest Moon and the Brazier of Nagashazar. We've had Light Shard before, if I remember correctly. It's an existing. Yeah, Light Shard is existing. You've lost your Soulfire Ring and you've lost
It's
your
been slightly
Covetous
tweaked.
Familiar. Yeah. Like some of them have kept the names, but I'm calling out the fact that even though it's a name change, there is some rewriting of abilities. So Mirror of Echoing Failure is a opponent declares a spell or prayer for a wizard or priest within 12, and you roll a dice on a 2-up, or D3 on a 2-up. You subtract 1 from the casting and enchanting, and then you can inflict the mortal damage. Light Shard being a once per battle, any combat phase. If this unit's in combat, add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by Nighthaunt units wholly within 12 for the rest of the turn. And then the Brazier is, again, another redeploy focused ability, specifically for your Nighthaunt infantry, not what I wrote there. And on a 1, 2, or 3, you will redeploy 4.
Yeah. I think that just like last book, Light Shard, clear pick. It does nearly the same thing. The only difference is that now the hero has to still be alive because it's an aura around the hero. Sort of a side grade, really. You can pile into the aura now, but you can't pile out. Small tweak. I wouldn't really say it makes it that much better or worse. It's still like a very standout option. What's the other two? I don't hate the mirror. The fact that it hits all the wizards and priests, that is nice. Especially when we're seeing more like hero spam lists going around, some of which have a high wizard and priest count. And I mean, Brazier's okay, but I don't think it's something that Nighthaunt really needs all that much. Versus Light Shard's just so impactful. And again, we've lost a lot of our offensive output, so this helps cover for that a little bit.
Yeah, you've lost your Soulfire Ring for the D6 heal if you've killed an enemy model. You've also lost your Covetous Familiar for the D3 2-up mortal damage. So again, kind of going back to the damage is pulled back slightly. The Light Shard, I think, again, is clear winner. The Mirror is second, a close second, but you are playing a meta pick, and there's obviously some factions that may not have a wizard or priest, or might be hard to get within 12 of said wizard or priests. But I think, to me, yeah, Light Shard is clearly number one, given you've lost a little bit of those charge damage that you had. This is a great way to kind of supplement or kind of bring up the offense, and you are probably playing more within bubbles, so you will be trying to get your bang for the buck from Light Shard.
Light Shard is also nice because it's a guaranteed buff. A lot of buffs and debuffs. I mean, as you can see with Echoing Failures, 2-up on a D3. There's a lot of buffs that are roll a 3-up, roll a 4-up. And so having the guaranteed +1 attacks is something you can more easily plan around. It's just consistent.
Yeah, look, if the meta shifts a little bit and we are going back to heavy magic, if this was like 12 months ago, then I think Mirror definitely stands out almost like an equal first. But I think magic and wizards have been toned down a little. You're not seeing as many right now, or at least manifestations aren't going as wild. So I think Light Shard, again, is probably clear winner at this particular point. And it likely has some points allocated. Yes, it does. 20 points. So it does have a little bit of points allocated to it. So you'll be paying for it. Maddie, anything else?
Not really. I think it's pretty simple here.
Yeah, I think the key here, and again, it goes back to what we said earlier, is that the War Scrolls are really what's going to be the sexy thing. So add like your favorite picks, like the +1 attacks, or this and this and this, and what does it mean to the War Scrolls? We did also get a whole bunch of new spells. So again, it's like literally we had, because you did have Shade Mist, you have Spectral Lure, and you had Spirit Drain. Now we have Fell Blades, Wretch Souls, and Chains of Death. So 2 casting value 6s, 1 casting value 7. How did you find the war scroll, the spell laws between old and new?
I don't think this spell lore is as good as our old one, and I also think our casters are a little bit worse. We'll get to that, but in terms of the spells, Fellblade is nice, but a little bit hard to make use of sometimes. It doesn't give out the -1 to save until after the first fight ability has resolved. So if you want to get sort of ideal use out of it, you'd want either to combo it with Chains of Death or to put it on a hero that can chain fight, and then have the hero chain fight into the infantry to give it -1 to save. So it's a good spell, but it's often a little bit of a hoop to jump through if you want to optimize your use of it. But even if you're just putting 2 infantry blobs into the same unit, like, they'll get to swing back, but they probably won't kill that many. So it does help your grind anyway. This is probably the spell you'll be casting most of the time. Wrench Souls, it's decent. You get to move or retreat. You still get to move in your movement phase if you do it, but if you retreat, you can't charge. Unless, I guess that's sort of the one instance where you might want retreat and charge over the custom move formation. But it's fine. It's useful, but it's a little more situational than most spells, I would say.
It's definitely a situational, but it's a good to have to be able to get yourself out of combat, even if it's something like getting out and then using a rally, for example, to bring back a unit, and then other healing abilities. But it is absolutely situational. You pull it out when you need it. Go on to Chains of Death. I love this spell.
Good spell, restrictive targeting. It only works on heroes, so it's great if you can get it off on, a big monster hero target, something like Vordry, Be'lakor, maybe like a Doc Cauldron or something. But a lot of times you just won't have a target for it. So
yeah, if you've got that real, it's a beast. It's a good spell. It is a very good spell. So long as people aren't putting all their points into their like cavalry or their troops to be doing the real damage dealer, because that's then clearly you're not using Chains of Death. But I will say you are obviously losing a bunch of things. Like I said, Spirit Drain, which is obviously nice to be able to inflict some chip mortal damage. You have lost Spectral Lure for the heal, and you have lost Shade Mist. I think Shade Mist is the one that's going to hurt the most. Losing
all of our old spells were very good.
They were. I agree, wholeheartedly agree. But I think it's the Shade Mist, given that -1 to wound is just fantastic. The fact that it was unlimited is fantastic as well. So being able to really put up some defensive buffs, I think that's, you're going to really feel the pain. Maybe then my question to you is, how do you think about resilience and durability, given that you've lost something like Shade Mist, for example? Like, how do you think about it? Is that like where the Cruciator really, if you weren't running a Cruciator, you now probably will be?
The Cruciator is really good now, yeah. I think it was good before, too. I was running one before, but I do think that you want to soak up as much damage as possible. We've got a lot of healing. We've got a lot of just wound density. But grinding, I think, is how we win now. So if you have more options for damage mitigation, like the Cruciator, I think they're a good include, yeah.
Yeah, and not that the Cruciator is creating a -1 to wound aura, so it's like a like for like. But I imagine that we have talked about the save characteristics have dropped. The ward has increased, some health has increased. But if people are thinking about durability and thinking about how they keep their army on the table for longer, to your point around grindy, how do you do it without some of these tools like this? And I think, again, it comes back to the War Scrolls and why I highlighted the Cruciator as an example. Maddie, anything else that you would share at this particular point?
Not really. I think when we get to the wizards, there's a little more there. But
cool. I don't think I saw any changes. I don't have it on screen, but I don't think I saw any changes with the manifestations either, or at least nothing that I really noticed. So maybe look at your books and when you get it. But I know you haven't been playing, or at least the game we played, you didn't pick your manifestation law. So
I think our manifestations are fine. If you have the points for something else, I think often you want to take something else. But as far as free manifestation lures go, ours aren't bad.
No, they're not bad. They're not bad. All right, here comes the good stuff. Now, here comes the good stuff. So I've got 2 whole pages of changes. Let's go through some of them. I don't know if you want to go through them one by one, or if you want to pick out some of our favorites. You can see here that, look, Nagash, if you were running Nagash, I haven't seen Nagash for a while in a Nighthaunt list, has tweaked one of the invocations of Nagash, given that it used to give you a 5-up ward anyway or something. It's now just been tweaked a little bit to be a free 3-inch move. On the screen here, this is all your characters. Any ones that really stand out for you, Maddie? I'll give you the first one, and then I'll share what I noticed.
I mean, Nagash himself, I think, is super interesting now. Not necessarily as an inclusion, but I think the fact that they're willing to make different war scrolls for him is a neat inclusion. I kind of hope we see more divergence than just the one ability in the future. Like maybe, he gets something that can interact with OBR's Relentless Discipline or Feck's Noble Deeds or something,
Yeah. Lady Olinda had some tweaks here. We've had, obviously, you're going to notice this is a theme, right? Where we've said, like, the save has been reduced, the water's being increased. A couple of changes, whether you've had the improvement to the horrifying visage, you can now shoot in combat. Some of the melee or the shooting attacks have all been kind of merged up. For example, you see Olinda has had some merging into the Staff of Midnight. You can see Kurdos has had a profile kind of merge as well when it comes to the melee attacks. Anything that stands out for me?
Companions.
Yeah, and they did that in Ideneth Deepkin, where they got rid of all like little fish companions, and they just gave you an extra
to roll them
separately.
Oh, yeah.
But they gave you an extra attack or 2 on the main profile. So the Staff of Midnight, for example. Anything that you noticed from, like, let's go from one, right? So you got Olinda here. Anything that you noticed from like Olinda, good, bad? Does it make her now really good? Does it make her unplayable? Anything that stands out from a Lady O?
The shooting attacks in general for the book, they've sort of standardized to all have crit auto wound, all have shooting combat, because they were a mixed bag before. So I think that's just a nice bit of cleanup. Mortarch of Grief being the 1-4 fails, I think is pretty big. That's basically her main defensive ability now, as opposed to she used to have a 4 board. So she's a little weaker against like mortal wounds, spells, and stuff. But that's a pretty brutal defensive ability on something with her base stats, 7 health, 5-up ethereal save that can be a 4-up, 5-up ward, really good healing. Like, that's scary enough on the 5-wound Skaven foot heroes that have it. It's pretty terrifying on her. And it's hits and wound rolls too. So she's basically never going down to melee.
Unless you have like an industrial amount of attacks, like unless you're like Goblin, shooters or Lumineth archers, something with like really high volume. Like
yeah, I mean,
people
crit auto is pretty good in there, but
yeah, but people are going to look at this and go, why bother? Like from a 1 to 4 is an auto fail on both hit and wound. If you've got something like really snipery long strike that has, really good, consistent attacks and really high damage, you're not targeting her because it's just a complete waste of your time.
Her No Rest for the Wicked, same, still good. I will note that it is a little less janky than most of the other return abilities. It's D3 plus 3, so you'll always get at least 2 infantry models back, maybe 3. And then Grief Stricken now also blocks control score modifiers, so little buff to her War Scroll spell. It is a really good War Scroll spell. You will probably be casting this instead of your lore spells a lot of the time, if you do take her.
Yeah, that particular, the Mortaka Grief is definitely the biggest upgrade for her. Much like when you look at Kurdos, for example, I think the biggest upgrade is going to be this new ability he's gained called Hail Kurdos, King of Nothing, where your charge phase, if this unit charged this phase, pick a friendly Craven Throne Guard unit that is not in combat to be the target. The target can immediately use the shoot ability as if it was your shooting phase, but all of the attacks must be targeting the enemy unit that in combat with it. The target cannot use charge ability, so you've got a little defensive piece here. If you were running the Craven Guard Throne, I don't think it immediately elevates Kurdos into like the must-take War Scroll, but it's given you a nice little interaction here with your crossbows.
It's really cute. I wouldn't say it's great. They're not generally a lot of damage to begin with. The Craven Throne Guard, they're a nice utility piece, but it's not like they're volume shooting. And then we have Soggy Kurdos, who just feels a lot better than this Kurdos. So I don't see you taking him a lot. But maybe once Soggy Kurdos goes away.
Yeah, we've only got Soggy for the next 12 months, so pick it out, choose what works for you. There hasn't been a huge upgrade to the Craven Throne Guard, so it's not like there's a huge boost for them anyway. So it is cute, but it's certainly not a very powerful ability. Alrach, I think interestingly enough, not that you see it going to combat very often, but I noticed the Allwood Roar going down to like Ren 0, where it used to be Ren 2. The pass through the underworld is now a once per battle ability, which I think is a significant reduction in that War Scroll, though it has gained the drifting of the Spectral Tides, where end of any turn roll a dice on a 3-up. This unit can immediately use the normal move or the retreat ability as if it was your movement phase. So this role has fundamentally changed. I think possibly for the worse. Maddie, am I making things up here or what?
I would say he's definitely worse. I think you will still see him. Generally, you only really need the one hit that you're sending in with Passage Through the Underworlds. Again, though, we've lost a lot of our burst offensive potential, so you might not necessarily want to be just eating in with the teleport. Soggy Black Coach is a good yeet target, but it already has a 3d6, so you can also just do that with the command ability and take the 9, because on the 3d6 you'll probably get that too. I think there's still a place for him, but I think it's a much more niche than it was before. I don't think drifting on Spectral Tides really makes up for the once per battle either. It's just also pretty niche. it'll be useful when it comes up, but it's not really something you're planning around generally.
No, if I'm spending 150 to 200 points roughly for this particular unit, I'm expecting more value. And if I really need the teleporting, as you've said, you've got the ethereal translocation. We could be taking something from a manifestation law. There's a whole bunch of ways to teleport. I guess the question is, with that now being a once per battle, and I guess to the point as well, you don't need to be charging and teleporting maybe as often. So maybe your over-reliance or requirement to have this unit is reduced, and you've got so many heroes to choose from anyway. It's not bad. It's not like you don't take it, but definitely that's a big tweak, the once per battle, to the value at least that I would see from this War Scroll.
I don't even think that once per battle is the biggest issue with him anymore. I think his role is just significantly reduced, like with the Armies playstyle. I think that if just his scroll was changed, this would be fine. But it's everything around it that makes... I don't know that you necessarily need to be using passage. You don't necessarily want to be teleporting that one unit, charging it in, because we don't really have the just blender hammers that we did before. And Alrock sometimes was part of that too, because he's a war machine, so you could charge him in for the -1 to save. I just don't think there's as much of a need for that type of support piece anymore.
Agreed. And you might have a game plan where you want to be teleporting and using the ethereal translocation and then using RH to then teleport something extra, and then you've got some strategy. Great. But I think to your point, the role is definitely not as required in the current play style and the rules. Reichner had one. I was going to call it a minor change. I don't know if I'd call it.
No, it's
a tweak. It's a tweak, and the tweak is, while the corpse candle rule is still the same, the way that it's now basically flipped. So right now, when you read the candle, you pick this unit or a visible enemy unit, and you allocate 1 damage point. If you allocate it to an enemy, you get +1 to your casting roll. If you inflict it to yourself, you get +1 to your casting and +1 to the power level. That has flipped. So if you now damage yourself, you only get +1 to casting. If you damage an enemy, you get +1 to casting and +1 to the damage to the power level. So it's just done a 180. So you are
The very relevant part is if you pick an enemy, it's on a 3-up. So you're sort of gambling with that, where you can either hit yourself, it's guaranteed, you'll get the +1 to cast, but nothing else. Or you can gamble for that 3-up to get both the casting and the +1 and the mortal damage. The enemy can ward it now, you can't.
Yes.
But it's sort of an interesting dynamic where it's like, do you want the guaranteed buff, or do you want to push your luck?
Do you think that diminishes the value of Reichner? Because a lot of lists did have Reichner, especially magic-y ones, and just self-damaging yourself to get that +1 to casting, +1 to power seemed to be a very good viable strategy and a popular one for the...
He's definitely a lot worse now. I would say before, he was effectively a wizard too. The candle on himself was free if you took a Cruciator, and even if it wasn't, you could just heal it off. But he was at that +1 to cast and power level basically all the time, unless you specifically needed to get the point of damage on an enemy unit. Like if you wanted to trigger the Harridans, or if you needed to finish something off that was on 1 wound. And now he's a wizard 1 that might be able to be a wizard 2, and I think that's a big downgrade for him.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see him as much in list anymore at all. I think he's still good. He is a wizard. He's fast. He hits pretty hard. But losing that second cast is just pretty brutal for him.
Kind of similar to what we talked about with Alrach, where the role has kind of changed a little bit, where there used to be this real consistent double casting wizard who could do a bunch of things. Now you've got a little less power from Reichnor. So not to say that Reichnor is bad. I still think there's still play in there. But for those who are relying on that magical supremacy that Reichnor could offer, you'll probably notice the downgrade, at least on Reichnor. So you may need to think about how you get other magic power, or maybe less reliant on magic, depending on how you tweak your list. What has been tweaked and what has a massive glow up, and I can't wait to talk about it, is Scriptor Mortis. So health did slightly degrade. Save, obviously, in the ward stuff, ignore that. We already know that. We talked about it a lot. The Quill now has a 3+ to wound. Amazing. Damage 1, okay. But the real benefit and why we're both a fan is the Judge, Jury, and Executioner has been replaced. So it's a passive ability, and each time a friendly Nighthaunt infantry unit uses the fight ability, if all of the attacks made target the same sentenced enemy unit, the friendly unit's melee weapons score crit mortals for that fight ability. Wow.
This is nice. Again, it's not always going to be reliable because it is a 3-up to get that sentenced buff off. And it can be a little clunky to get all of your infantry into the same unit. Like if they're charging you, sometimes they can force you to split attacks. But having a source of crit mortal, I would say, is one of the biggest offensive buffs that we have access to right now. And we have infantry with like solid attack counts. Like Harridans have 3 attacks each. So if you can get it off, you have very solid mortal output there, which is nice.
You'd like to think by turn 2 you'd get off the sentenced at least once, right? So I know there'll be times where it won't happen, but it's a really good ability, and with the volume of attacks that you can put out and then having crit mortals, that does really increase the damage output of your chosen units.
And you don't have to pick the units either. You only have to pick the enemy. So if you've got multiple infantry units all going into the same enemy unit, they all get the crit mortal.
Yeah. No, good call. Absolutely good call. 2 other hero changes, then we'll move to the troops. You've got Guardian of Souls. I'm just going to skip the Knight of Shrouds and the Cruciator just because it's that base save 5 up.
Yeah, they're just doing the same thing.
Yeah. Like, I've just called it out because that it is a change. Guardian of Souls has the rewritten Nightmare Lantern, where pick a visible friendly Nighthaunt unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Roll a dice on a 3-up, add 1 to the wound rolls for attacks that target attacks for the rest of the turn.
Yeah, again, a 3-up. Inconsistent buffs, but that's been kind of the design pattern we've been seeing. +1 to wound is nice. This is our only generic wizard. And your other options are Reichnor and Olinder. So it's a pretty good buff if you were taking this just to be a wizard anyway. And its ability doesn't require it to be in combat anymore either. So it can actually safely sit behind your troops and buff them that way, which is nice. It does hit okay in combat if you're not afraid of it dying, but I think you might see them in some lists. I don't think they'll be a staple.
No, the +1 to wound is going to be nice, especially bringing down like some of your to wound profiles. I think what was I looking at before? I was looking at like Grimmies, like getting Grimmies, for example, on 2s, right? Even if you're building into Chain Rasp, that feels like pushing poop uphill, but from a 5 to a 4, great. Like, yes, but your Grimghast, your Prygeist, your Bladegeist Revenants, like getting them to like wounding 2 is very, very good. I think the challenge is, as always, you have too many hero choices, not enough points, and the power is really going to come from your infantry when we get to that slide. Last quick change, unless Maddie's got something else to say about the Guardian of Souls.
Nope.
No. Is the Lord Executioner. This is where the cute little rule, like watch Maddie's face. Like, listen to me, watch Maddie's face. So the Lord Executioner does have a nice little combination here with the sentencing. So it's gained a rule called the Ghastly Descent. So at the end of any turn, pick an enemy infantry or cavalry hero that's had any damage points allocated to it this turn. By this unit's attacks to be the target, roll a dice, add 1 to the roll if the target has been sentenced. On a 5-up, the target is automatically destroyed. That sounds pretty good. Little infantry idiot going around auto-slaying people on a 5 or a 4. Love that. Remember, we're watching Maddie's face. We're watching Maddie's face. God.
The fact that it's only infantry or cavalry hero means that it's generally less likely to come up because the Lord Executioner is a relatively hitty foot hero to begin with. Unless you're splitting attacks, there's a fair chance that you killed whatever infantry or cavalry hero you're going into. You're on Rend 3. 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, damage 2, crit auto wound. Like, it's pretty hitty. And then adding 1 to the roll if the target is sentenced. Why are you picking an infantry foot hero to be sentenced? And if it was sentenced, it just makes it even more likely that your Lord Executioner already killed it. I do think that this is very cute, so I can't judge it too harshly. And the Lord Executioner is already a very, very good foot hero. So again, this is basically just a ribbon text. But I don't think it's very good.
I agree with you. I want to call it out.
It's not like they took anything away from it, so.
Yeah. Look, like it already is a good war scroll if you're going to hunt that down. As you've said, anti-infantry +1 Ren, crit auto wound, 5 attacks, 3/3s, Ren 2 or Ren 3 into heroes, damage 2. It's already very good. Like,
well, and that's not even the biggest reason why you take it. The -1 attacks is a huge debuff, and it's more consistent than most of the effects we have too. It's on a 2-up instead of 3-up. Being able to just eviscerate foot heroes is already kind of just a bonus. It's just a very solid hero.
This conversation went way longer than I thought it was going to be. I just wanted to see your reaction. It's fun. It's cute. It's interesting. I wouldn't be picking in a Lord Executioner purely because of the sentencing. So anyway, certainly interesting. There's a whole bunch of troop changes as well. I'm not going to read them word for word. Let's actually just go through some of your favorites, Maddie. So, and obviously, again, Black Coach is purely the Battletome Black Coach, not the soggy Black Coach. The Scourge of Gairan is independent of this. These changes are not reflective unless they decide to update the War Scroll. But that's not, we're not aware of that.
I think the 3 really big ones here are the Grimghast Reapers, Bladegeist Revenants, and Dreadscythe Harridans. I guess also Chain Rasps. But those are the basic infantry, and their role has hugely changed. Grimghast Reapers, I guess, do have effectively the same role. They were Horde Clearers before. They're still Horde Clearers. They just have a mortal wound horde clearing ability now instead of their crit on 5s. Bladegeist Revenants have a really disgusting ability. If they're contesting an objective you control, they just can't be charged unless your opponent rolls a 7 or higher. Which is gross. They're a really nice just unit of 10 to either screen with or put out on a side objective. I love them.
So Maddie and I in our game, and I want to bring this up because so I was playing Suns, Maddie was playing the new Nighthaunt book. Maddie was contesting an objective, by the way, sitting next to your terrain feature. And I decided to declare a countercharge. My Gargant, my Wolf Stomper was 5 inches away, which is relatively, but countercharge is still 2 CP. It's still like a risk versus reward piece. But then that made a decision really even harder because all of a sudden the 5 had to go to a 7, which is a 50-50 shot. So either A, I'm not countercharging, or B, I have a higher chance of failure despite I'm 5 inches or 3 inches away. So that is a disgustingly beautiful rule. Seeing it in action, big fan. It's going to frustrate people in a very nice way. In a nice way, like it's not like a broken rule. But yeah, I love that. And when you combined it with your terrain feature, that was just even more annoying because when I got in, I did roll the 7. I then had no command, so I couldn't use all that attack or all that defense and yada, yada, yada.
I think they're a very fun unit. And they're flexible too, because again, you can put them in front of the rest of your army to make it very hard to get into that to make a charge. Or if they're doing like a flank, just holding objectives on the side, it's very hard for opponents to take those objectives back because it's unreliable to roll that charge. Big fan of them. Not as hitty because again they don't have their charge +1 attack. But I think their defensive ability more than makes up for that. It's really gross, kind of.
Yeah, they're 2 health as well, right? So you can see the Bladegeist Revenants are 2 health now. Grimgust Reaper's 2 health. Pyregeist are now 2 health. Craven Guard Throne are 2 health. Chain Rasps are not 2 health. They're still single health. Your Dreadside Harridans are 2 health. And was that all? Yes, I think that was all. So you see there's that glow up that we were talking about earlier. Sorry, what's the next unit you love?
I don't know that I would say I love Chain Rasps, but I do think that they have more of a role now. Old book, they had a really weird niche where they felt like they were supposed to be a defensive screen unit, but then their ability wanted them to be charging. Now they're more of like a scouting unit that they have a pregame move. You can do up to 3 of them. So you could use them to take objectives or, get a little bit up front to score tactics or something. I still don't think you'll take them very often, just because we have so many really good infantry options. But they're not terrible as like list filler. Yeah. And then
I wouldn't be taking 3, but one or 2. 1 or 2 is very, very achievable if the points are right. Just to, as you said, objective scorers, anyone who's got deep strike or shenanigans, be able to push people out further. There's a real interesting play here on that. I'd worth calling it out.
And then the Harridans, again, they've lost both of their existing abilities. No more -1 to wound, no more +1/+1 with damage unit. But they block healing and model recursion. So again, leading into that strength of the army being very, very grindy now. Gross in the mirror, gross against stuff like Soul Blight. It's just, if you get into prolonged fights with them, they will come out on top. They also do still have 3 attacks apiece. So they're a nice combo with the Scriptor Mortis just because weight of dice.
Yeah, that stopped me in my matchup where I used King Broad to heal D3. So even though you can't rally in combat, I can still heal with that prayer. If we were to play one of my Daughters of Cain lists right now where I generate D3 elves back per unit, that would stop that recursion as well. To your point, some of the healing in Soul Blight. That's a great little
The
ability.
mirror match even.
Yeah, so it either forces me to retreat to get some healing in, or try to grind it out without the healing, and that already makes things a little harder on me. So that was a very cool interaction.
Yeah. And then I guess honorable mention to the coach, which I think is slightly better, but still severely outclassed by the Sagi one. Its hero has got a little bit of a glow up. It just has to damage it now. It still brings the heroes back. Kind of convenient, but it just doesn't have the output that the Sagi one does. And I think with the lack of output in the rest of the army, having the sheer damage on the Sagi coach is just really nice to have. Plus, the 3d6 on the Sagi coach combines really nicely with the translocation. Since you can be basically anywhere on the board and 3d6 charge for a reliable charge in.
Can I? Yeah, yeah. Like I don't want to spend too much time on the Soggy coach just because it's a temporary thing. But yes, it's very good, very very good. This is fine. It's decent. It's not 3d6 charge decent. What I do want to quickly talk about before we get into the new unit is curious on your thoughts on the Craven Guard Throne and Craven Throne Guard. I'm going to get this right one day. It has gained an extra rule called the Black-Hearted Lackeys, where once per turn, your army, your movement phase, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target, roll a d3. On a 2-up, this unit can immediately use retreat ability without any mortal damage being inflicted to it, then inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. Now, unless you're Nate Trentinelli, most people are not getting a lot of love from the Craven Throne Guard. They're still range 16. They still have crit auto wound. Thoughts on this, and does it increase the value, or does it encourage you more to take some crossbows?
No, I actually think they're worse. So one of the big benefits to them, especially this GHB, is that they ignore obscuring. They don't need in the faction pack, they did not need visibility to shoot. So they had a decent amount of utility there. And this is a very awkward ability on them, because they don't natively have retreat and shoot either. So unless you're taking the battle formation and wasting it on a unit of Craven Throne Guard, you're sure doing 2-up to 3 mortal wounds, but you can't shoot. Their output just isn't great either. I don't hate a unit of them. But especially you don't need to do the chip damage to trigger Harridans either. I think their utility is down a good bit.
Yeah, the Spectral Bolts, I'm glad you called that out because that was where I was going to go next, is that rule, the Black-Hearted Lackeys. It's a 3-up, so it's a 2-up on a D3, so already it's a bit of a gamble. But in addition, the Spectral Bolts being that you can you can ignore visibility and ignore negative modifiers to hits when you're shooting. That used to be a really good hero. Sorry, air quote that good hero sniper, especially like the small heroes that you might be having guarded heroes and you might want to get them close by to try to shoot them off. You know, ignore some of those abilities. I think you'll really feel the impacts of losing Spectral Bolts, and I probably agree with you that maybe the Craven Throne Guard are probably going to frustrate people in a bad way. That you're not going to.
It feels like they've lost what gave them a niche.
I really like the Spectral Bolts is what kept them being played.
Yeah.
All right, Craven Throne Guard. Craven Throne Guard. Craven Throne Guard. It's like calling Biggie Smalls in the mirror. Cool. Lots of changes. We did gain one new unit. Oh yeah, shout out to our friends, the Hex Raids over here. So nothing really changed for you other than your steeds now have 2 attacks. So Hex Raids, you didn't get squatted, but you kind of did. Nah, they're not that bad. Anyway, the new unit, we have this new Lord Vitriolic. Really like it. Can't wait to bust it open. Only just got it the other day. Reminds me a lot of the Gobapalooza in Nighthaunt form. So you can see here on the screen, move 8, save 5, control 2, health 5, 6 up. That's probably your 5. Let me probably fix that up while we're talking. You have a shooting attack and you have a melee attack, both having crit auto wounds. You've also got, Maddie, while I fix up the screen, talk a bit about this Spectral Alchemy, which I think is really why you're taking this unit.
Yeah, so again, it's another 3-up debuff. What I think is particularly interesting about this one is it's got another one of those sort of push your luck style abilities. You can either, assuming you get the 3-up, you can pick one of the 6 abilities and get that specific effect, or you can roll 2 randomly. I think most of the time you're going to want to be picking because the effects are so varied that rolling has a pretty high chance of getting you something completely useless. But the individual effects are pretty good. Phantasmal Solvent is mostly against manifestations, just mortals there. Again, mortals. I think that curled concoctions you're probably not really going to want most of the time. It's not a particularly good shooting attack. So I think if you were considering that, then the mortal damage is probably better. But if you really needed to gamble on, like, I need to kill this foot hero and the D3 mortals won't do it, then sure, maybe. Yeah, I mean, anti-wizard and anti-priest, those are both good effects to counter those units. The range is a little short for targeting wizards and priests. A lot of the times, those are going to be hiding in the backlines, and your lord is also going to be hiding in the backlines. So there's probably going to be a lot of troops in between you that might prevent you from using those. But if you can get them off, they're pretty good. And then the big one, no wards, which I think is what, if people are taking this is what it's going to be for. 3-up, no ward rolls. Wards are getting, they're very prevalent. We're seeing a lot of 5-up wards too. Nighthaunt, Dock, a lot of the top armies. So I think having a tool to deny them is going to be popular. Again, it's on a 3-up, so it's not consistent, but it's still an option. So.
Yeah, so for anyone who wants to know how this is going to work from a pitch battle perspective, so it's 120 points as I'm currently aware, and the regiment options is 0 to 1 Black Coach and any infantry. And this hero can also join one of the regiments as a cursed soul. So there's a bit of flexibility as a sub commander almost. But 120 points, it's now your equal cheapest hero as I look at Scriptum Mortis, the Spirit Torment. Oh no, sorry, second cheapest. Sorry, the Knight of Shrouds is now your cheapest hero. Knight of Shrouds on foot. So it's still a relatively cheap hero. Again, you've got a lot of hero choices. I think that to your point, the 3-up, is the gamble, right? Because if you were to teleport this hero to get within range of said wizard or priest or thing, you've still got a failure point, and then it's just sitting out there potentially at risk. So maybe at best sitting behind your troops, following along, trying to get within that 10 inches, and then, to your point, picking one of the effects that best affects you rather than rolling for 2 and getting like the movement characteristic one, which is useless because the unit has move, or picking a priest that is actually a wizard, and like just pick the thing. Pick the thing.
Yeah. I don't think there's very much utility in rolling the 2.
Unless you can roll a 2 and a 6 consistently. But
you can't, Like,
well, unless you have cheaty dice. Don't get
whose cheaty dice are set to roll 2s?
I don't know, but check out Chessex's website. Maybe they might have them eventually for sale. My point is, it's cool. Just pick the thing. Fun, interesting, 120 points. It's priced fairly. Does it fit into your list? I think it's a nice to have. Certainly not a top tier pick. That it'll be bloody fun.
I think it's more of a meta call.
Yeah. What's the meta that would see you put this unit in your, like, what would you need to see for you to put this into your list?
I mean, honestly, I think what we're seeing at the top is pretty good for it. Like Doc, the Nighthaunt Mirror, having all those 5-up wards in the top is definitely enough to start thinking about the no wards. I do think it's a little awkward. Again, we've got so many foot heroes we're trying to fit in. So I think often it might come down to a choice between, like, do you want the Lord Vitriolic or do you want the Scriptor Mortis? I think the ward rolls is stronger in the matchups where it comes up, but the Crypt Mortals is a little more evenly applicable. So I think, just going to depend on what your list and what you expect to run into. New core and AOR too, 4-up wards all there.
Yeah. Have a play. See how you go. I think, to your point, that you've got so many good choices for small heroes, and like if you're taking a Cruciator, you're talking the Scriptor Mortis. That's already 2 small hero choices, and for those who are regiment conscious as well and don't want to have too many regiments, I guess another thing to consider that not bad. It's actually not bad. It's decent, but I wouldn't say it's auto include.
With the regiment options too, Nighthaunts are a little awkward to begin with. Cavalry wise, so Hexwraiths and Dreadblades and Sword of the Coach, our infantry heroes can take 1 coach, but if you wanted more, it's either named characters or the Knight of Shrouds. So if you're trying to just take a bunch of little foot heroes, you're a little limited in what units you can take. So like trying to squeeze in Dreadblade heroes into a list, I think they're still pretty good, especially with scouting and stuff. Very difficult if you want to take advantage of the little foot heroes.
Yeah, you're taking Kurdos, Alinda, Nagash,
Rock.
Yep. Or your Knight of Shrouds on Ethereum.
Yeah, that's the only generic one that can take the Cav.
And then Ulrach, yeah. Otherwise, it's all infantry focused.
Yep.
Cool. And look, really quickly, I won't spend too much time on this because we've got 2 armies of renown to look into. Maddie, this is the list that we played the other day. I thought this might be an option for you to show people like how you were thinking and maybe some of the science behind your initial list. And just trust me, bro, it's 2,000 points or under, but I can't tell you the points in written form. So you just have to look at Warcom when the article goes up.
Or at least
Maddie,
was at time of having points.
Yes. Yeah. The points may change between now and upload, but this is 2,000 points.
Yeah. So again, the new infantry here, I think, is what's really shining. I took 2 unreinforced units of Blade Geists, to use as screens, flank pieces, just sort of do their thing. I really liked how they performed. It's annoying to get into them. It's annoying to kill them. The reinforced red side Terradins, again, really grindy brick. Like Coach said earlier, they were blocking Broad's healing prayer, so just keeping that grind going. It's not a lot of damage anymore because they are on 4s and 4s. They can't get to 3s and 3s super easily like they used to. But they'll win the fight eventually. And with the Scriptor Mortis here, that does help them get in a little more damage because they have so many attacks. Firegeists, they're cheap. And they fit in the regiment. I'm not married to them, but I think they're still a good filler unit. You could replace it with filler unit of your choice.
They were a good little flanking unit because they throw it at that little gout of balefire and then chipping away slowly, reducing like that flank objective, and then being able to on the D3 on a 2-up, doing a little bit of damage at the end of the turn, and then improving the control scores. That made life a little easier for you. Yeah, I agree with you. The Pyregeist wouldn't be an auto include, but they were nice to have. And I guess if you were looking at that chain rasp for the free move, it might fit into that slot.
Or like chain ghasts or something. Yeah. You've got a couple options for filler units in the book. I picked Pyregeist, but Soggy Coach, it's the hammer now. Flies around the board, eviscerating people while everything else slowly dies to the Harridans. Cruciator, again, it's just more damage reduction. Everything's so tanky, it just doesn't die. So having that 1 damage point every phase is just exacerbating that. Light Shard, extra damage, Ruler, more healing. It's a pretty straightforward list, I would say. It doesn't really do anything fancy. It says, kill me, and they don't.
And maybe just a quick one on your battle tactic selection. So what are you thinking, and what have you found with Nighthaunt and battle tactics? Where are their strengths, or like why master the paths and attune to go run?
With the faction pack, I was leaning very heavily into scouting with Dreadblade heroes. It becomes an autocomplete then, because you can just teleport the Dreadblades around. You can teleport your faction terrain to the Dreadblades to score them that way. But it was very hard for me to fit the Dreadblades in. Points have gone up kind of a lot. Again, the units have gotten juiced in durability, so it makes sense. But it was hard to squeeze them in, and I didn't feel like I could reliably do scouting with the units I chose to take. Master the Paths and Attune to Gairan are relatively generic in what they do. I felt I could score them easiest. Wrathful Cycles, again, usually I like it a little more because I feel like it's a good sort of fallback as long as you can score your other tactic card very reliably. You can sort of have an easy 10 points in the bank, but I don't have a scouting tier tactic card here, so I don't really want Wrathful Cycles either. And then Intercept and Recover is just kind of hard to, if they've got annoying units to chase down, I don't really want to be targeting those out. because the black coach is the only thing that can do like consistent burst damage. It just scores these pretty well. I wouldn't say it's an autocomplete in the same way that like the Dreadblade lists could do scouting, but scores well enough.
Yeah, no, it went well. I can't remember the final score. One of those PSTD moments. Maybe it's no. Look, it was actually a really fun game. I joke because when Suns slap, they slap. When they don't slap, it's just really frustrating. Just with the rocks and diamonds that you see, and obviously so much rend in Gargan. So
especially if you can't get on the points because there are ghosts on them first,
and you're stopping me with 7-inch charges, and it's already a casino gamble enough. Anyway. This is the rough kind of like, this is kind of how you're thinking. Certainly not the way. I don't think Madigan would say that this is the only way to play Nighthaunt. It's just an example of how she's built her list. But know that obviously this is a great start. You can kind of see how it's less reliant on charges like the current book. You know, you're looking at some of these bubbles from the healing, from the terrain feature, from the Cruciator through the Scriptum Mortis, that little combination kind of cup cooking in the middle of the kitchen. And then how you're bubbling up, castling up, and powering through with your Blade Geist, your Dread Harridans, and obviously making sure the Black Coach absolutely slaps, which it absolutely did. It is a jerk. Any final comments before we get into the Armies of Renown? And there's some good stuff in here. Not corn good, but good.
Very, very different good.
Yeah. I didn't say powerful.
I'm excited.
Yeah, they powerful good. I said good. This is gonna really
sing the Armies of Renown.
Yeah. This is gonna really sing to some certain people. So I'm gonna save the best to the last. Clearly, okay. The first one is the Clattering Procession. So you'll see this is based around having Reikenor that you don't have to make as general. Some of them do say that certain thing has to be general. Not in this case. So you've got to have. You can have. Between Reikenor, Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed, Dreadblade Harrows, Hex Raids, Black Coach. You cannot include Regiments of Renown or Faction Terrain. You also can't include Soggy Black Coach. This would be just Battletome Coach.
That's not true. You can have Soggy Black Coach. Yeah.
Oh, you can. You can. No. It's the artifacts, command traits, heroic traits that don't cross over from Snoggy. The War Scrolls do cross over.
The War Scrolls do.
Yeah. My bad. God, some stupid restrictions here. Just plugged them in. Anyway, got Ethereal. You got a new thing called the Speed of Death. You've got Spectral Swiftness, and you have Pitiless Reapers. Do I have to read this out, or do you just want to give me a summary, or I can summarize it?
It is an all-cav army. This, I would say, plays a little closer to what you might expect in terms of it encourages charging. You can teleport. You can move out of combat, in combat. And do a bunch of mortal wounds when you move over things. Your unit options are very limited here. Reikenor, solid, even if he's worse. Not huge on the Knight of Shrouds. Dreadblades are nice, but they're not like a core unit. You know, they're a support piece. Hex Wraiths, again, took a nerf to their damage, but not a major one. Soggy Black Coaches are where it's at. You can even make one of them a hero, which is neat.
Yes, that's a good call out. Actually, look at the top at the description. So you just talk about, the army becoming the Clattering Procession. There is a line that says you can give one Black Coach in your army the hero keyword. If you do so, any non-hero Nighthaunt cavalry units can be added to the regiment. Good call out. Thank you for that one. It's on the document. just didn't read it out. Yeah, it's a cav thing. You're charging, so you do a bunch of stuff. The real power then starts coming through some of the other things. You've got 1 heroic trait, 1 artifact, 2 spells, and you get to access either your Reaper manifestation, or you pick them all from the universal manifestation lore.
You always pick the universal manifestation lore. These one summon lores are just so bad.
Agreed. I'm just telling people how it is. But yes, why would you take 1 when you can take 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Kind of grinds my gears. Like, hey, here's a restrictive way to play your faction, and you get 1 of your manifestations. Just give them all.
I really wish they had the full ones. Yeah.
Agreed. Your heroic trait is a Silent Overseer, where your charge phase pick up the 3 clattering procession units wholly within 12, and then for the rest of the turn, the targets can charge even if they retreated. Your artifact is the Talisman of Nadir, which is an opponent declaring a spell reaction. If there's a friendly clattering procession unit wholly within 12 inches of this unit was picked to be the target of that spell, this unit can use the Unbind ability as if it had Wizard 1, and you get to add 1 to the Unbinding roll for that ability. And there are 2 fun spells, one being adding +2 to the target's movement characteristic, the other one being re-roll, run rolls, and charge rolls for the target.
The target and the caster.
Yes, so you pick the caster. Yes. Yes, it says pick the caster and up to 1 visible. Yes. Here I was trying to save time, but we've actually missed a very important point there. Fell Riders, good pickup.
Yeah, very fun. I think Fell Riders is a little more useful than Lashes, and you're probably not going to have a whole lot of casts in the list. It's Reignor, and then if you took Soggy Coaches, 1 Soggy Coach could be a wizard. So you'll probably be casting like Reiknor's War Scrolls Fell and then Fell Riders most of the time.
How's a Soggy Coach becoming wizard?
So in the hero phase, Soggy Coaches get to pick 1 of 3 buffs. They can pick Crit Mortal, become a wizard, or add 3 rally points to rallies within 12.
Thank you. I don't have it in front of me. I'm just looking at the black coach here. I'm like, how are you doing that? That's right. Cheeky.
But yeah, I think this is a fun Army of Renown. But I do think it's held back by its unit options, especially since Soggy Black Coaches are very good, but their abilities are once per turn army, so you do start getting diminishing returns after the first one.
And the power we've talked about in this Battletome so far really has been in the infantry style. Yeah, we haven't seen a lot in the Hex Raids. We haven't seen it in the Dreadblade. Like, the cavalry really hasn't had any glow up, and you're now doubling down on that. So, look, like adding +2 to move and getting a whole bunch of fast stuff could be fun. I guess the question is, if you were going to run an all cav style Nighthaunt, would you still be better off just running the exact same list in normal Nighthaunt? Do you get more benefits? Probably. Like, sure, the reroll run and charge rolls is nice for 1 unit, but in most cases, like, the benefits here are not super strong. Like, they're fine, but they're not super strong.
I think if you specifically want to do all cav, it's probably better here than a normal Nighthaunt. But only if that's already what you want to be doing for some reason. You know, maybe you've got like a thematic army in mind. I do think we're missing out on a lot of very good units is the biggest problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if I agree with that. Like, it's probably neutral. Like, you probably, like, there's pros and cons on either side. It's Armies of Renown are meant to be fun ways to build your army. They're not meant to be Deathbringer spam, really busted, and hopefully that gets reined in soon. So in most cases, but this is Cav. It's nice. It's fun. I'm going to move along because I want to talk about the other
exciting one.
I want to talk about the other Army of Renown, and what could this possibly be about? If only there was an image here that was predicting what we're going to talk about. Oh my gosh, it's the Eternal Nightmare. It is based around Nagash, the Supreme Lord of the Undead, must be your general, and it allows you to have any non-unique Nighthaunt infantry units. You cannot include Regiments of Renown, but you can have your faction terrain. So what do we get? Now, I'm going to read this up. This is story time with Anthony and Coach. So Ethereal, you still get your Ethereal rule. Cool, move along. Let's start. The ritual begins. In the deployment phase, you must use this ability to set up a friendly Nagash and then pick a friendly Nexus of Grief wholly within friendly territory to be the ritual site. Set up that friendly Nagash within 1 inch of the ritual site and wholly within friendly terrain. After you've done so, he has been deployed. That Nexus of Grief is the ritual site for the rest of the battle. We then start to gather power. So in battle round 1, Nagash's movement characteristic is, I think that's a nothing. I'll pick that up in a sec. That is a nothing, and cannot make moves or pile-ins. He has a ward of 3+. He has a control score of 1. And your attack weapons, Alec and Zefta Nebtha, have attack characteristic of 2 rather than 4. Then in battle round 2, he has a movement characteristic of 6. He can't move more than 6 inches from the ritual site. He has a ward of 4 up, control score of 5, and then the weapons, Alec and Zefta Nebtha, have attack characteristic of 2 instead of 4. Yeah, I'll just fix that up on screen. So it looks like this. Outstanding. It's like that. It's like it's always been there. The ritual site has a 4+, your terrain feature, although it can't use the Hungry Crypts ability.
That's teleport.
Yeah. Can't teleport around. Surprise, because it's the ritual site. Maddie, first impressions so far. This is like S tier.
This is the weirdest Army of Renown I have ever seen. I love it so much. It's hilarious. Like, you just have your Nagash as effectively a glorified terrain piece for 2 turns as he slowly powers up over the course of the battle. It's absurd. I love it. I cannot wait to play this Army of Renown. It is so funny. Do I think it's good? No, not at all. But I love it.
I can't wait. I want somebody to, and maybe you are the person, Maddie. I want you to pick this book up. I want you to run it at your local store. Don't tell your opponent about these rules, right? I just want you to set up a Nagash next to your crypt and not move for 2 turns. Or when you do, it's turn 2 and you move 6 inches from the crypt. And they're just like, what the F are you doing?
It's basically pure downside as far as the battle traits go. But it's so funny.
Oh, so Maddie, like, what do I get? Like, okay, right, we know the rules. Nagash is sitting there, terrain feature. Nagash is powering up. Get some stuff. Cool. Now, what's the payoff here? There must be a massive payoff here where, like, all this stuff happens.
Absolutely not.
It's no payoff.
Technically, he gets a better award in rounds 1 and 2 while he's powering up. And you get to forward deploy him. Weirdly, but
there's no payoff.
There's no payoff.
It's not like battle round 3. He has 8 attacks with his weapons, or he gets like a unlimited amount of spells until he miscasts. There's literally no benefit.
There are some interesting abilities. The heroic trait and the artifact are admittedly pretty cool. The trait lets Nagash cast through the hero, kind of like a skink vessel in Seraphon, but it's only one of them. So it's a little limited. And then the artifact is a once per battle. The hero takes 3 and Nagash heals 3, so it gives him a little bit of survivability, I guess. But like, you can just put him in Nighthaunt where you have heroes to heal him.
And the spells are interesting, but like subtract 3 from the control score.
Control score is not great. The Will of Nagash is actually really good. You can make your infantry ignore hit rolls and wound rolls of 1 to 3. But it is only 1 unit, so
yes,
you've got that there. Nagash is also sort of running out of spells to cast because your speller only has 2 spells.
yes,
And he can't cast an unlimited spell more than once, even if it's unlimited. So he's basically got these 2 spells, his War Scroll spell, and then manifestations, which for once we have a full manifestation lore. I don't know why they finally decided to give an army a Renown a full manifestation lore, but they did. So, yay!
Look, narrative-wise, this is 11.
It's so good. I love it.
50 out of 10. Like, it's just absolutely
hilarious.
As a competitive army, it is a -10 out of 10. Like, it is if there was a payoff, look, if there was a payoff where Zip the Nefta, or you got to roll twice on the what's it called, Hand of the Gash. Like if I could do it twice, or if there was some payoff of sitting this idiot next to a terrain feature for two of the battle rounds, and there was some payoff where I got something better, like something got better, then I'm in. Like, it's cool. It's cool as all hell. But there's no payoff. I get nothing for sitting here next to terrain for 2 rounds. Almost 1/2 of my army.
It's certainly something.
I want more of these. It reminds me there was this battle plan back in, I think, the 1st edition, which was based around a sacrificial ritual site where I think by battle round 5, you had to go save the hero about to be sacrificed, and like the hero was taking mortal damage each round until it died, and you had like 5 battle rounds, and like there was some really cool narrative story, right? Like I'm immersed, and it feels like that. Nagash is powering up.
Yeah,
great. I'm gonna go stop Nagash. But if Nagash powers up, oh my gosh, there's this bad thing that happens. There's just no bad thing. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I know I'm harping on this, but like, I feel like it's missing a page.
Well, like, flavorfully, it's not him juicing up so much as it is like him recovering, probably from getting, smacked down a little bit by
then his pitch battle profile should be like 2/3 of the points. If he's weak, and he can't move, then drop the points. But I think we're harping on, it's bloody cool. Like, it is very, very cool. It's flavorful.
I would love more like this.
Don't run it at a tournament. If you do, if you do, I think your TO owes you drinks, is sending drinks to the bottom of the tables. Like, and if you get more than to the mid table, then I'd like to get you on the channel. I'm like, how? Not game 1 or game 2. Like, get up there.
I'd certainly like to see it.
It'll be fun.
So excited to play with it. Yeah,
it'll be fun. Like, it's cool. But like, overall, now this is like Jerry's final thoughts here. By the way, again, if you've liked the preview, want to help the channel, grab it from the affiliates, Wildfire Minis, Element Games, or Gap, depending on which country you're from, or join us on Patreon. Thank you very much. Your support is greatly appreciated. We've gone through all of the changes. We've gone through we didn't do Regiments of Renown. You've got 2. Do you really have to go through this?
You were so excited about the Black Coach earlier. No, you don't want to talk about it?
I don't want to talk about it because I feel like it's a tease. Like, hey, here's these things that you can't take in your army. So here you go. There are 2 So you've got, I don't have it on screen, but what you do have is you have the Craven Throne Executioners, which is a Scriptum Mortis and 2 units of 5 Craven Throne Guard. You can obviously bring it into any of your Death factions, your Flesh Eater Courts, your OBR, or your Soul Blight. And interestingly enough, actually, this is probably the most useful part of it, is you get to add passively +1 to hit and +1 to wound for attacks where for the Regiment of Renown against the Sentence unit. That's actually really good. Well, in the context of Craven Throne Guard.
Points dependent, obviously. The units in it aren't great here, I would say. But Guard aren't terrible utility. I don't see this being taken very often, though.
Oh, no. God, no. Gosh, no. But the fact that you get +1 here, +1 to wound and sentencing, I like that. I almost feel like if that was in the Battletome, Craven Throne Guard probably get a lot more popularity, especially losing Spectral Bolts. +1 hit, +1 to wound, sentence. I'd love to see more units interacting with the sentence beyond the Executioner.
One of the Legends War Scrolls we have now, the Headsman's Curse, has a sort of similar sentencing ability, and I'm kind of hoping that they reword that to use the sentence keyword as another thing to interact with it. But it might be a little gross, so we'll see.
The other one is the Regiment of Renowned Black Coach. So again, you can put into Flesh Eater Courts, OBR, or Soul Blight. And at the end of any turn, it has Dark Resurrection. So if any damage points were allocated to an enemy unit by this unit's combat attacks, and that enemy unit was destroyed this turn, pick a friendly, non-unique Death Infantry hero that's been destroyed. Replace that replacement unit identical, wholly within 12 inches of this unit. The replacement unit can only be set up in combat with enemy units that are in combat with this unit.
So this is basically the War Scroll ability that the Black Coach has. Only the Black Coaches by default is limited to Nighthaunt heroes. This lets you use it for the heroes of whatever faction you bring it into. Not great. Again, you can't take Soggy Coaches in Regiments of Renown. So you are stuck with default coach. But I do think it's cute. It does have its own teleport. It's relatively independent. So if you want to have like a little more casual fun list, you can take the Black Coach and just go around killing things and bringing back your heroes. And that's kind of fun.
It might have a nice little combination with the Vampire Lord on foot given in Soul Blight. It's probably one of the only few. I mean, obviously you could do it Necromancer and things like that as well, but you could use like some of the teleport shenanigans, making your little vampire on foot an assassin, go out, kill things, die, come back, and I guess start again. That wouldn't be a bad little piece. Flesh Eater Courts, I guess, is that you got a whole bunch of non-unique heroes you can tap into, so that might not be bad if you go feck. OBR, I don't know if is that much use for that particular rule in OBR.
We've got heroes, but they're all wizards, so they're not generally trying to get into combat.
Yeah, and because it has to be infantry, so you can't even bring back your murder pony hero. So
yeah,
so it's not. It doesn't feel like OBR really benefits. Obviously, Black Coach aside, like if you want the model and the rules, but specifically like the regen piece is the cream of the crop.
I think Soul Blight's, if you do see it, probably where you're going to end up seeing it most, especially, like you mentioned, if anyone was an old, like Vampire Counts collector or even just Legions in a Gash before it split, has a Black Coach that they've been wanting to use. I think this is a nice regiment of renown for those people.
or a reason to buy the black coach. They've always wanted it,
It's
but
a
they've never wanted
gorgeous
to buy it.
model.
Awesome model. And you're like, maybe you've always wanted the refresh black coach, but you've never been able to run it. Here's a great reason to do so. And who knows, maybe you'll start a Nighthaunt army eventually, if nothing more. Chuck it in your Soul Blight. But back to my original question before we sidetrack me with Regiments of Renown. And yes, there is Path to Glory in here, and Maddie's seen the rules. And yes, there's a bunch of cool art and stories and things like that.
War Machine Anvil heroes.
Yeah. But no monsters.
No monsters. I'm very sad about that.
I am sad. Like I'm still like we were talking before we got on stream that like as much as I hated it at the time, and I did hate it, I really hated it. I kind of miss the Mongol where you actually had a monster, and I'm kind of a little sad that you still haven't brought out a spooky ghost monster of some description. No, I don't want the Mongol back, but it represented a monster, and I'd love to see that kind of come back at some stage or something like that. But putting that aside for a second, Maddie, what are your feelings and thoughts so far about the Nighthaunt? Because we've gone through a lot of changes. Battle formations, traits, artifacts, heroic choices, 2 pages of big war scroll tweaks. The spell lore has fundamentally changed. There is a lot of changes. And as you even said at the start of the video, this is probably the biggest identity shift when it comes to the play style and how somebody would run a Nighthaunt army. How are you feeling, and what would your advice be to players as they transition from one style to another?
I'm really excited. I'm loving the new book. I think it's a lot of fun to play. I'm getting to dig out units that I haven't used in ages, or that I haven't used ever. It feels like there's a lot of synergy. There's a lot of tech pieces. I think that it's definitely a big shock. The lack of damage, I think is going to take some getting used to, because if you have that habit of just sending it, you're going to bounce off, if you're just sending what you were before. But I think it's really fun. You just need to adjust how you're thinking about playing Nighthaunt.
Yeah, if you would have done the old play style into me instead of the new play style, I think the game fundamentally changes significantly.
Yeah.
Like you were just
you can't just send it anymore.
No, like I could have piecemealed you and I would have been really comfortable. But the fact that I was just bubbled up and denied abilities through the faction terrain, having some of the combinations, whether it's the in your case it was the Cruciator, a bunch of healing, a bunch of recursion coming back, shutting down my being able to heal up in combat. There were so many things that you just grinded me down. And in my situation, Gargants, we don't like to grind. Yes, we have a high health characteristic, but beyond that, we just can't handle the volume of attacks. And then you apply the sentencing, you're doing the crit mortals, and it was unless I was Nurgle, I think that would be really hard to chew through. Obviously the mirror match as well, but it was really hard to chew through. So I love that you revisited the list. I love there were war scrolls that I haven't seen used for a while, or at least in combination for a while. And it worked really well. There's that period of adjustment that I still think Nighthaunt is a very powerful faction.
I think so too. I think they're going to be very good.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts or comments about the book? I mean, again, a great book. I've enjoyed it. I can't wait to see it hit the table. I can't wait to see some new models hitting the table. Any final thoughts?
I'm just really excited to get my new model foot hero, the Lord Vitriolic. I'm excited to paint it up. I'm excited to put him on the table. ever since the Nighthaunt book was announced back in January now at this point, wasn't it? Was it? That's horrible. Yeah, LVO. It was on the roadmap at LVO.
Really? I remember.
That's awful.
I remember. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I was so excited for it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. So.
Oh yeah, by the way, something that's really cool that's in both the books. I know Flesh Eater Courts people, you'll also be watching my stream as well. Some really cool maps that that show, like Flesh Eater Courts 1 is probably my favorite map. I won't share it on this video. Go watch the other video. But it's great to see some of the realms being opened up beyond like Taran and Akshi, like seeing more Shyish and things like that. Flesh Eater Courts in particular, like I love that map. Maybe it's because I'm more of a Feck player than a Nighthaunt player, but very, very cool to see he's fleshed out more. So grab the book.
We've got a couple of those maps of Shyish, mostly around like the Prime Interlands area. But it's very interesting because of the format of the maps too. If you'll notice, most of the maps of Shyish are sort of that weird chunk of torus shape because they're all central around the nadir.
Well, you see the Flesh Eater Courts one is that little island and all that. It kind of reminds me of Bretonia with all the kingdoms, and like it's cool as all hell. And anyway, that is a different video that's probably premiering at the exact same time. So go watch that as well if you are a servant of the court. Maddie,
It will be.
It's so good. It's a good book too. I actually was reading Flesh Eater Courts and going, oh, I'm getting the itch. Like I'm getting the itch to pick up my Flesh Eater Courts. Not because it's like busted and broken, but it's very, very flavorful. It's very, very fun and also competitive. But anyway, Nighthaunt, you're looking good. Go buy the thing. Go check out the Lord Vitriolic. I hope you have a lot of fun. And as always, my Discord is open. Come check it out. Come chat about Nighthaunt. Come practice on Tabletop Simulator. Come chat with all your friends and work out the combinations and the synergies and what works and what doesn't work. High tide lifts all boats. Maddie, as always, absolute guest. Any shout outs, anything that you want to say to the folks on the internet?
No. I hope that everyone else loves the book as much as I do. But
yeah, I legitimately am excited for this. It's not like, oh, it's new book. Oh my God, I'm so excited. It's actually really cool. I actually think it's cool. All right, we've hit the wall. It's done. Bye. Hope you enjoyed it. And I don't have a sign off, so I'm just going to log off. Bye for now.
bye.
Thanks for hanging around until the end. I hope you enjoyed that video and you walked away with a few new ideas. Now, if you did, I would love it if you pressed like on the video, as well as left me a comment with your thoughts. The conversation will continue over on Discord, and the link is down below in the episode description. I also want to give a massive shout out to the AoS Coach patrons and YouTube members who are supporting the channel and the growth that you're seeing here. So cheers, you are all bloody legends. And until next time, don't roll a double one on a spellcast.